purpose of this video is to introduce the three main concepts for today, and that is assets, income adequacy, and economic security. But first, I want to ask you to remember how Molly, our good friend Molly Orshansky, designed her poverty thresholds originally. Remember that her goal was to create thresholds of income inadequacy, income that would be insufficient to provide economic well-being for American children. Her thresholds were never meant to be thresholds of income adequacy. And the reason was because she thought it would be easier to get people to agree on the question of how much is too little, rather than on the more controversial question, how much is enough? The question that we're thinking about today is that really the sort of threshold we should be thinking of? Should we really be worried about an inadequacy threshold? Is there something else we ought to care about? So far we've looked at different measures for extreme poverty. Perhaps these are people with an income to poverty ratio of 0.5 or less. Then we've looked at different measures of poverty, from consumption to the official poverty measure to the supplemental poverty measure. And most of these measures are focused on getting people above that threshold from being poor to not being poor. And at that point, most of these measures are ready to sort of throw a party and call it a day. Well, not today. Today, we're going to look at some material from the Economic Policy Institute that really focuses our attention on a level above simply not being poor. And they refer to this level as income adequacy. This is when a person is not just not poor, but when their income is adequate. So as you look at these materials, think about how these two things are different. Not being poor and having adequate income. And then we're also going to look at some materials from Wider Opportunities for Women. These are the basic economic security tables and their report on economic security in America, and they're going to point our attention to an even higher level, and that is having economic security. So as you look at the report from Wider Opportunities for Women and the report on basic economic security, think about how economic security is different from simply having adequate income. So come to class being generally familiar with the differences between the Economic Policy Institute's notion of income adequacy. What categories do they include in the basic family budget that they prepare? And where do they get the sources of the estimates on the cost of each category? And then that is slightly different from Wider Opportunities for Women's notion of economic security. What categories does that include, and where are they getting the estimates on the cost of each category? Those are generally the material included in the boxes, the box on page 4 to 5 of the Economic Policy Institute report and the box on page 13 of the WOW report. And then the small assignment that you'll complete before class will allow you to familiarize yourself with a great tool, the Assets and Opportunities Scorecard, prepared by the Corporation for Enterprise Development. And you'll be looking at categories like these: asset poverty, extreme asset poverty, liquid asset poverty, net worth, and so on. Be sure that you click around on that website to find the definitions of each of these terms. And we'll map all of these different measurements onto our conceptual map during class time.